Hey everybody, welcome to It's the Kid Michael Show. I'm your host, Kid Michael. I'm again joined by my co-host, Adam Ali. Adam, how you doing?
How's it going?
Yeah, you gotta kind of have to wait for my cue when you're introducing yourself. Um, and my guest, who should also wait for his cue, uh, is a classmate, um, a great illustrator. You can find him on Instagram. I can't remember his handle right now. We'll have to do that later. But Alvin, what is it? What's your last name?
Ooh, Sumigcay.
Alvin
Wow.
Sumigcay, everybody.
Oh, well done.
Hi,
First try.
But
yeah.
doesn't do his research.
No, I think I did it, but I thought when I see your last name on Instagram and whatnot,
hmm
like I always go dyslexic, and I think it says Alvin Supremacy.
Oh, that's awesome.
I
I
don't
mean, that'd be
know.
cool too.
Close.
Or maybe that's a future Instagram handle. I don't know.
Right.
How are you, Alvin?
Pretty good.
Called you Alvin.
Uh,
Um,
yeah.
how are you
I-
holding up with the? Sorry to interrupt you.
No, it's cool. My sleeping schedule's so messed up,
Yeah.
so I'm trying to balance that now. Yeah. And I just woke up at literally at like 2 o'clock, so
Mhm.
an hour ago. And that's me trying to sleep early, and that's like 12 hours of sleep.
But it's a surprisingly a big improvement.
It
Yeah.
is. It is. I slept before 4 a.m., so that was awesome. But I
Yeah.
didn't think I was gonna wake up the same time.
You're gonna think I'm such a loser, but like generally, I like to go to sleep at like 9:30. But I
Mhm.
can't go to sleep till like 11 these days. I don't know what it is. My sleep schedule is all out of whack.
I'm
think
envious of that.
I know, because you get so much done if you sleep early, wake up early.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and like, so I was sick for a while. I don't know if it was or wasn't corona. Eventually, I'm gonna get an antibody test or something for that. But I was sick for a while, and I was getting headaches, and I thought it was because of like the sickness with the fever and whatnot. But I'm still getting headaches every night, and I don't know what's going on with that. So that's also messing with me, sleep
Mm,
wise. Uh,
water. Water.
water. That's the
The
answer.
only thing I know, yeah. That's what everyone says, headache, water, chocolate.
Speaking of water and sleep, Adam, is still Ramadan?
Yeah, 2 more weeks.
How you holding up?
I'm actually not fasting today. I got my big cup of Joe with me.
Uh,
Oh, that's right.
I
Adam, shame on you.
hopefully hopefully your father doesn't listen to the podcast.
It's, it's not his coffee, it's just his spit.
Yeah.
He's just chewing
Even
tobacco.
that's wrong. You're not allowed to consume anything.
Oh, really?
Not,
What?
not even like medicine.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh, dang.
I'm just gonna stay dying.
You ever had medicine during Ramadan?
Probably, yeah. But if you're sick, like usually it's excused. You don't have to
Why
fast.
why would you take medicine if you're okay?
Well,
Well, if you're
stuff,
not-
Oh, I guess like pills that you take every day.
like stuff like medication, like you're not
Yeah,
supposed to
okay.
take,
I guess that's true.
you know.
All right. I haven't really seen much this week. Has anyone seen any movies or anything, Alvin?
K-drama. I finished it
What's-
at the weekend.
What is K-drama?
It's like the telenovelas of like Korea.
Yeah.
So a Korean drama.
Which one
And
was it?
it was pretty binge-worthy. It was called Crash Landing on You. Funny title, but I
Mhm.
think it was a good watch from Netflix too.
What was it? Like what was the story?
The plot, basically, if I narrow it down, feels like a Romeo and Juliet thing
Uh-huh.
because she is someone rich, and then the other character, the guy hero, is also somewhat of a higher family. But the
Mhm.
thing is, she was in this job thing, and she was paragliding, and she was accidentally tornadoed up to North Korea. So that's basically
Whoa.
yeah.
Is it like a
Yeah.
political drama?
No, it's not. It's like a rom-com.
Oh.
Yeah, so I watched it with my girlfriend, and I was like, I persuaded her to watch it. Like, it was really hard for me to get her to watch something with
Really?
subtitles, because it's subtitles, and I know she likes like shows like Jane the Virgin, something like more like rom-com.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, okay, I'll watch one of those episodes with you if you just watch one episode with me.
Nice.
And then
Compromise.
compromise, right? So after one episode, I was like, so you want to go back to the other show for now? And she's like, can we watch the second episode? I was like, oh,
Oh,
really?
you got her
Okay. Yeah. And each episode was like an hour and 15 at least.
Oh my god.
To like, and for some reason, see, US they have a set episode time limit. For some reason, the show like increased the time limit. So
Weird.
like you'd binge it and you think that, oh, it's only an hour and 15, right? Next thing you know, like closer to the end when you're trying to binge it, it's like almost 2 hours. It's like an hour and 40.
Yeah, I feel like shows are, because of things like Netflix, are getting like longer, mostly because like when things were on TV and whatnot, you had they were 30 minutes, but you had like commercials.
Yeah.
And then you go to Netflix and it's 30 minutes and there's no commercials, so you fill up that whole 30 minutes. And yeah, it just feels like they're getting longer and longer.
And the fact that it goes to autoplay.
Yeah.
It's like watching a whole movie, an episode, basically.
Yeah, it is. That's why I think like I was satisfied even if it's just one episode. But the fact that you can binge it, I think that's just the reason because it's all in your hands.
Was
You
that,
know, like
do you
what's that?
watch a lot
Also-
of Korean dramas or
No, that was like the first one I've ever seen, but that one was like really good. I
What
compared
made
to
you?
other. I think I was just looking for something different.
Nice.
It's like when there was a phase where I was watching all the superhero stuff in
Uh-huh.
Netflix. I mean, they were really cool. I
like
loved Daredevil,
the oh yeah, I miss that so much.
right? Like second season for me was my favorite, but
I can't finish season 3 of Daredevil because I'm too sad that it's like
yeah.
gone.
So see, they were really good shows, but then there was a point where um like he just kind of like it oversaturated, and you kind of know like each episode there's like a formula to it.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
once you see it, you're like, should I watch the following 3 shows? 'Cause they might be the same.
I
You know?
think
Basically,
I think
yeah.
the worst of all those shows was the team up, which is kind of a bummer.
Oh,
Like
yeah,
Defenders was really not great.
that was exactly the moment where I was like, should I watch it through? Because the shows were pretty good, but I don't know now because I feel like it'll be redundant, you know?
Yeah, I feel if I had to rank them, I'd probably say. Like, did you watch any of these, Adam?
Nope.
Uh,
I'm
uh,
not with this. I'm not with that shit.
I think Defenders was the worst. Then Iron Fist. Then Luke Cage, uh, Punisher, Daredevil, and then at the top is Jessica Jones.
Actually, I was really excited for Punisher because of Daredevil.
Yeah,
That's the reason why I watched it too. He was so good in Daredevil. That's why I had to watch it.
I
I
didn't.
did watch it. I did watch like a few episodes of Daredevil, and I thought it was all right, but I don't know. So I agree with what you're saying, Alvin. Where it's like if you've seen one, you've kind of seen them all.
Yeah, they have a formula, and I just wanted something different, also visually different.
Yeah.
You know, it's always like, I guess it's like New York City, because at that time we're always in the city.
Yeah. There's also they
Yeah.
also just had a weird thing where they didn't want to give anyone a costume. Like they like begrudgingly gave Daredevil a suit, and then like everyone else just wore like a hoodie.
Yeah,
And
aesthetic wise,
it looked really uncomfortable in the team up because it was like everyone's like everyone's dressed normally except Daredevil. Like he came to like a party thinking everyone's gonna wear costumes.
Yeah, I mean, I'd rather have that than the one they tried with Teen Titans.
Oh,
I
you
don't
mean
watch it.
the one on DC Universe?
Yeah, I don't watch it, but I saw the picture of it, so I see why they strayed away from the costumes. It looks a little cheesy.
They did a weird thing with the Titans show where like Beast Boy has to get naked to turn into like an animal.
Really? No, see, I
Yeah.
didn't know that.
Very weird. I was
I
kind of
didn't even know there was a Teen Titans show.
So DC has its own streaming service called DC Universe, and
Mhm.
they have like an R-rated Titans show. Like I remember
assume it's not very good.
everyone was talking about it because in the first trailer there was like a scene where they were like, "Hey Robin, where's Batman?" He went, "Fuck Batman," and like everyone kind of got turned off at that point.
Yeah, you could like even from the I know you shouldn't judge a book by its cover, but if you search the poster, you can kind of tell the show feel. And it's just
Yeah.
that it's not for
Yeah.
me.
It's just very very dark.
It
for
reminds me
something
of
like Teen Titans.
when they had like all the Twilight dark kind of things movies coming out,
Yeah.
like Divergent and Hunger Games. Well, Hunger Games is good,
Also,
but that kind of teen drama.
and it
feel.
also felt like it was too low a budget for doing Teen Titans. Because
Yeah.
I remember the whole first season, I watched like bits of it, but the whole first season, Beast Boy only ever turns into a tiger. Like they never gave him another animal because like they would have to render another CGI animal.
It's the only one they had.
Yeah.
Tiger Boy. I mean Beast Boy.
Have you been watching anything, Adam?
Not really any TV shows or movies. If I talk about what I've been watching, everyone's gonna fall asleep. Been watching like tutorials on how to bookbind.
Oh, that's interesting.
That's awesome. Yeah, I watched a bunch of those.
Yeah, I found this one channel called like Dawes or something, and
Yeah.
this
Yeah, I
you
know
watch
that
them?
one.
Oh,
Yeah.
no shit.
I have a lot of phases. If you ever see a YouTube recommended feed for me, it's so mixed that I don't even know what to click on.
Yeah, same with me. I'm
I-
surprised you actually know this guy because he only has like 2,000 subscribers.
I bound a book once, and I honestly don't remember how I did it.
Did you do it with like stitch binding? Like where
I
you,
don't know.
like,
There was like
actually
a there was
stitched
like
all the-
a there was like a big like press involved, and like there was like a thing that I had to use made out of bone.
Oh,
Yeah.
you made like a starch paste?
Maybe
Like
I don't know.
to
Like
glue
it
the
looks like a
pages together?
legit book. Like it's like got the little tag on the inside that's like a I don't know
Yeah.
how to describe it, but it was pretty legit. It wasn't like I just taped it together.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
Still
Uh,
have that kit. I know you're talking about like the bone thing.
yeah, because I worked at the Brooklyn Botanic Gardens for like 5 years. For those of you who don't know, and like part of the first 4 years were kind of like internship. Actually, 6 years. I worked there 6 years, and the first 4 years were internship, and then everything else was like a job. But part of the internship thing was there's a secret library. I don't know if I can even whatever. I'm gonna tell everyone. There's a secret library in the Brooklyn Botanic Gardens
Not anymore.
that you don't get to see. That has like 14th century books and stuff. Like it's in a
Awesome.
fireproof room. It's like you can't get in there. You'll never even see it.
Didn't know
But
about
I
that.
saw it, and I got to learn how to bind books, like the ones that like the antique ones that were in the secret library, and that's how I learned how to bind a book, and then promptly forgot.
You
That's
never
awesome.
told me about that. It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's like probably what the monks use to grow like special flowers. That's awesome.
Wait, what?
Wait, so if yeah, wait, what do you mean by
It's like a secret book of knowledge
Oh,
of just
yeah.
plants.
It was just
I mean, I would love to look through that.
Me too.
You
So
never
if it's a library, why is it secret?
it's because it's for research. It's not for the public. Because if people were allowed to go in there, they'd destroy all the books. They're really
Yeah.
delicate. You
So
have to
only
wear
the
like
staff
gloves. Yeah,
work.
there's one person who's qualified to hold to handle the antique books.
And it's Michael Hines.
No, it's the library. The librarian there. I probably like wanted to touch one, but I don't think I ever.
Yeah, so how did you get in?
Because I worked there and they let me like look at it and not touch anything. It's like really old, like Columbus era people discovering plants and shit and like drawing them.
It's awesome. It's like botanical
That's
books.
really cool.
Yeah, it's all botanical books.
Nice. You ever
Like-
been to the any of you guys ever been to the Morgan Library?
No.
No.
It's in the city, and they have a thing on Fridays where it's like college night. Well, it doesn't apply to us now because we're graduating, but college students get in for free on Fridays for like an hour, and they have a really beautiful library and like all this artwork hanging up. It's like it looks like the Met, but the library is like super beautiful. You can't touch any of the books; they're all like locked away behind gates. But it's like
Oh.
amazing.
Wait, I've seen the outside of it. Never been inside. That's really cool. I wish I went inside.
Yeah, you should go there sometime.
Wow.
Speaking of graduation, did you guys all get that email that we're having one?
No.
Actually.
Yeah.
Oh, the virtual one.
No, in the fall we're having one,
Oh,
like a real
Yeah.
one. Next week we're having
okay, I didn't read
a
the whole
week
thing.
of like events, like live stream events, whatever that means. I don't know if they're gonna like. That sounds weird to me. Like when you say a week of events, I picture like a live stream with the.
It's
with
just
the
weird
staff, I
to
don't
see
know.
it virtually. You know,
Yeah.
like if you say week of events physically, it's like a festival.
Yeah, it sounds like yeah.
But then when you say virtually, so like that's like every day. It's like nothing new.
Also, when they're like, we're gonna have a week of events online, part of me thinks that they're just talking about the senior show that we already have.
yeah, maybe they're just kind of like, yeah,
This
we're
is your
doing that
graduation.
one.
Yeah. I don't know. But it's nice that we're gonna have a physical one.
October though, right?
Yeah.
But at least it's like it's almost like a reunion.
Yeah, it is actually.
That'd be great.
We should
I don't mind.
go on like a kind of fast where we just don't talk to each other at all.
Just to
After
feel,
school
to
ends,
make
and
it
then like
feel like.
yeah, just so when we all see each other in October, it's super emotional.
He's like, "Whoa, I haven't talked to you at all since
Yeah.
we designated that date."
Well, at this point, it's just gonna be like a summer vacation, like always.
Oh, that's true. But summer vacation, people like leave. Now you can't even leave.
Yeah, I wonder
Yeah.
what people that are like abroad are gonna do.
It's either they went home before the quarantine or they're stuck there for a long,
I
long, long.
remember Adam, stop me if I told this story on the podcast already, but I remember I was in a class and my teacher was like talking to us all about. Am I close enough to the mic, by the way?
Yeah,
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 yeah.
it's not
Okay.
good.
The teacher was talking to us all about like, do you have any questions about quarantine and whatnot? One person went, I have a question. If we came here like from abroad, what do we do? And he goes, I guess you'll be sent back. And they were like, yeah, but I'm from Italy.
Yeah.
And that was the time where Italy was like completely closed off from the rest of the planet. He was like, oh
Yeah.
shit,
I don't know. Like, I assume if you're from Italy, you could probably go back. I don't know.
Would they just give you like a flight to yourself? I don't
I
like,
don't
The-
know.
I think
airdrop
it might
you.
be like a scheduled flight.
Yeah,
Like
probably.
it's like one flight per month or something like that. I don't know.
Because what can you do?
Yeah.
I think about that person every now and then.
I just think about like sitting next to him. You're like, huh?
It's just like shit. Where do I even go now?
Because they started off by saying that the dorms were going to be open while this was going on, and then like a
They're
week
like,
later they were
"Fuck
like, never mind. Actually,
Yeah, they were like
it-
all of a sudden they closed it. How could you do
yeah,
that?
I don't think you can
super
even go
sudden.
into the building anymore, right? For
No,
like
you
lockers
can't.
and stuff.
Nope.
Oh,
They closed the building, I believe, like back in March.
Hopefully, eventually, I'll be able to get my stuff back from my locker.
yeah, I have everything in my locker. My whole like painting kit is there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it kind of forced me to go digital instead of traditional.
You have like literally everything in there.
The only thing I have are my
My
brushes,
social
and
security.
I have like a red tube, white tube, and a couple of colors, but that's most of them are there.
Better start experimenting now.
I know, so it's okay. I went digital. It gave a good purpose.
It's good.
Yeah. Still though, I want the stuff.
Hopefully it opens soon. It'll probably
Yeah.
open over the summer.
Yeah. If anything, I have to drive there because I don't know about public transportation too. If it's gonna be open.
Yeah, I heard something about like subways closing down recently. I don't know if it's like permanently or just like temporarily. For, like,
Subway
cleansing.
stations.
No,
Like,
the whole system. Yeah, they
yeah, the
shut
whole
it
system.
down. to
Honestly,
clean it.
I don't want to go to. That's funny because of what we're going to talk about today, actually. But I don't like when everything goes back to normal. I'm gonna take a month off of the subway because they better clean the hell out of that. Like,
They say
before
they're-
I could...
They're trying to clean it every day.
I
don't
know,
how
but
possible
I've
that
heard
is.
that like
I don't believe it personally.
Yeah.
I've also heard stories about like how the homeless have like essentially taken over.
Yeah, there was almost 200 apparently that they had to shelter.
Yeah.
Quotations, right, and shelter because I don't know how
Oh god, that's creepy.
or where either.
Don't, don't
They
even
were
say
never
that. That's
heard
so
of again.
creepy. Um,
Yeah, bing.
that's a bummer. All right, I don't really have a lot on my list today, because I didn't see much this week. I watched like the new episode of Rick and Morty, but I mean, that
I
was,
have a whole list to catch up on though.
what do you want to catch up on?
Either old movies because I was gonna ask people a bunch of lists for old movies because I feel like I missed out on a lot of good ones.
Yeah.
And a bunch of animation ones that I missed out on, like
You should-
Akira.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm telling you, man. You gotta
Yeah.
watch it.
You
That's
should.
the first
you-
one.
You know what's funny actually?
What?
David Zung, his class this week, we analyzed Akira.
Really? Nice.
Yeah, we're playing it and we're just analyzing it for like 2.5
That's
hours.
awesome.
It was,
Alvin,
yeah.
you should join Letterboxd.
Letterbox. What is that?
It's a social media app. This should be a sponsor, honestly. We'd be great at promoting this. But Letterboxd is an app where like me and Adam are both on. It's social media for films, so you can like catalog movies you've seen, review them, rate them, and then you can
Oh,
see like
cool.
and then you can put movies on your wish list. You can find movies to put on your wish list. You can find lists that people have made. Like I'm looking right now.
I'm so
Someone
joining.
put a list that says you're not the same person once the film is finished. That's one list. Official top 250 narrative feature films.
That's exactly what I'm
Yeah.
looking for.
Yeah, so
Things like
join
that.
that, and you can see what me and Adam want to watch that we haven't seen yet. And
Thanks. Yeah,
yeah,
definitely gonna do this.
Yeah,
that should really be a sponsor. That we sponsor the hell out of that.
reach out to them.
Yeah, actually.
I don't hear it a lot actually, so it might be me though, because I haven't researched enough.
I actually haven't heard of it before. Michael told me about it too.
I had heard about it and like not thought about it, and then when I started doing it, I was like, why didn't I do this earlier? This is amazing.
There's also a subscription based, like it's like kind of like Netflix for old movies, but I kind of lost the website. And
Criterion.
No, there's something else.
Oh well, Criterion does that too.
Criterion does that? Okay.
The Criterion channel is like Netflix for old movies or anything that's in the Criterion collection. They also have like a bunch of Godzilla on there too.
Okay, I'll save that one too.
You remember when we were in high school? We both bought that like Godzilla box set.
Yeah,
I still have yet to watch any of those movies. I need to.
I haven't watched them in a while actually. I want to get some of the more modern ones because I was really into like the Millennium era of like Godzilla 2000 and stuff like that. I don't think that's a really popular era among most people, but just because I grew up with it.
Yeah.
I'm making a new folder right now. It just says films.
Is there any like old movies that like you want to see in particular?
No, I have it listed, but I can't think of them. Strange Love, I've never seen.
I've started that movie and never finished it, and I don't know. I just couldn't get into it at the time, but I really feel like I have to watch it.
Yeah, it's like one of those things that everyone says you should watch.
Do you know
Those
what
are
we're
like
talking
the
about,
ones I want to try to look for.
Adam, do you know what we're talking about?
Strange Love? No.
Doctor Strangelove, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb.
Doctor Strangelove? That sounds familiar.
Like,
you put Doctor in the front, and it just sounds like, man.
Yeah, there's a long list of those. Even like the old James Bond ones, just to see what people are talking
God,
about.
I was. My stepdad was watching old James Bond, and I was in the room. It's so rapey. Like it's aged so horribly.
That's probably true. See, that's why I kind of want to see it, because I want to see like
oh my god,
why people like certain movies in really old times. And I feel like some things you can take out of it, because a lot of things right now, like, okay, so this is totally random, but when people start doing like TikToks and then they start doing edits, and they're like, "Whoa, it's like magic," but really, what they're doing is exactly what happened like the 1890s when they first had movies.
Yeah, we had to have like 10 guys do it for you.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like somewhere along the line, if you take whatever you can, like you like in old movies, it will look original now, because a lot of people don't look back to it.
That's true.
I will say something that I always found funny is that we so associate James Bond with like England specifically. And Sean Connery, the first James Bond, is so clearly Scottish.
Oh yeah.
Like his voice is so clearly Scottish. I don't know. It's funny that no one ever brings that up.
That's why it makes him such a good secret agent.
Yeah,
because no one can.
He's not actually Scottish. He's just he's just using that.
He's just so good, you know.
I don't think I've ever seen a James Bond movie.
I don't know that you'd be super into it.
I don't think I would.
Maybe the more modern, like Daniel Craig ones.
Yeah, I saw the first Daniel Craig ones, so that's why I was like, yeah, that's pretty cool and all. But to be honest, I like Kingsman more as a spy movie.
I've been meaning to watch Kingsman for a while.
We didn't bring this up when Morella was on, but Morella, me, and some of our friends from school, Kendall, Michelle, I'm blanking out on who else was there. Christian, the guys. Yeah. Anyway, we used to go to this bar on Thursdays after school, and the reason I bring this up is because the bartender once everyone was singing. It was a karaoke bar,
nice.
And everyone was singing "Country Roads." And you've seen Kingsman too, right?
Yeah.
And the bartender like turned to me and he was like, I have to fight back tears when I hear this song. I was like, why? He was like, you remember that guy from Kingsman 2 that steps on the landmine and sings Country Roads before he dies? Like, you almost cry hearing a song because of Kingsman 2.
Yeah,
like, the lesser of the two Kingsmen.
Someone cried during the Kingsman movie.
I couldn't believe it's so funny. I love that story that he's like he holds back tears thinking of this one guy in Kingsman 2.
Poor guy.
I need to see those movies. They look very fun.
People don't like the second one, but I didn't think it was that bad.
I've never even seen like John Wick or any of those movies.
I haven't seen.
Oh
John Wick
yeah,
either.
I haven't seen John Wick.
I hear such
Anyway.
good things.
Yeah,
I need to get into like modern action movies.
Yeah.
that's how I feel like I need a list. I've been missing out a lot.
I feel like I
Both
want to
you-
get
both you
into
guys.
Mission Impossible. I haven't seen any of those.
I've seen 3 only because it was always on replay, and I think it was like FX.
You know, which series that I just don't want to get into at all is Fast and Furious.
Yeah, it's the same thing with me with Mission Impossible. It's like there's just like so many of them that it's like
Yeah, but
Mhm.
Fast and Furious, I just know I'm not gonna like it. You know,
Not
Yeah,
sports guy.
it's
Not a
good
racing guy.
for. I would say
is it even a racing movie anymore?
I
that's
thought
the
so.
thing. It's not anymore. It's
The
just-
first like 3
movies
were
of cars.
movies about racing, and then like they had a spinoff with like a supervillain. It was like,
and all of a sudden the military's involved.
yeah,
and
now they're always a
spies.
tank, and it's like it doesn't make any sense. I don't know.
You guys
And
want
just
a cool action movie though? The Raid.
Never seen that
Oh
one.
yeah,
That's probably on my list on Letterboxd. Let's check it.
some kung fu stuff.
Yeah, it's very
Yeah.
violent, very cool.
I wanted
really
to. I had a phase where I wanted to get into martial arts movies, and I watched like one, and I just haven't gotten back to that, and I should.
Oh, and Ip Man is so good too.
Oh man, that's on my list as well.
You haven't seen that one?
There's like a fourth one just came out recently.
Yeah, I only saw the first one and I loved it.
Yeah, they're all on Netflix. I need to watch them at some
Mhm.
point.
Is the Raid made by Gareth Edwards?
Probably not. It's an Indonesian movie.
Yeah, Raj Kumar Gupta.
Who stars in it? Is it Iko Uwais? No, this isn't it.
I couldn't tell you, to be honest. I don't know any
Or
of their names.
I might be looking at an American remake. What's the year? Do you know?
2011.
2011. Oh, then that was the one.
And
It's
I'm
called
looking
the
wrong
first
one.
the movie's called The Raid Redemption.
The first movie's called The Raid Redemption.
Yeah.
Gareth Evans. That one.
Yeah, that's what I just said. Yeah, that's
Oh, it is.
It is Gareth Evans.
Oh,
Well,
that's weird.
there's like
that
an
sounded like a white dude. I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
It's an Indonesian movie.
I don't know. Let me put it on. Is it on my list already?
Yeah, I've seen this one. It was my rental days where you can.
Have you
rent.
actually seen it?
Yeah,
Put it on
it's
my
a good
list.
one.
It is
It's really good.
If you have a weak stomach, I would not recommend it.
Aren't they doing like a spinoff to that Korean movie Train to Busan or something like that?
You don't need a
Uh,
spin off of that one. That one was so good.
I think they're doing a sequel, not a spin-off.
Oh yeah, probably a sequel. Oh wait, no, they are. They are. I remember seeing.
The train back.
Train back to Busan. No, thank you.
I seem to be in the minority when I say I didn't enjoy that movie, but maybe I need to give it another watch.
I guess. I saw it in class. Really random.
What class?
It was Jim Hostin's book. What was he got? Book class.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was like Halloween, and he was like, you know what, guys, you guys are doing hard work, and then he put the movie up, and I was like, yep, I'm not doing
Oh
any
my
work.
God. Jim,
I just left everything.
Cool.
I miss Jim Hostin ordering everyone just like a shit ton of pizza.
What the
Yeah,
hell?
yeah.
He used
that
to
was,
order
that
so
was the
much
case
pizza,
too.
and he
We
would get
had-
he would get crazy toppings and everything.
What the fuck, man?
Oh, and the bagel, he brought like full cart of bagel. I thought he meant like just a bag of bagels. No, he brought bagels plus fruit plus like different dips for the bagel.
He was
Bro,
like,
where was I
Yeah.
when this
he had
was
this
going on?
mentality that was like I know you guys are hungry. If I'm feeding you, I'm gonna fucking feed you.
Yeah,
It
was
was
great.
so great.
I've never had a teacher.
I hope we're not
feed
getting
me.
him in trouble.
and the pizza was even better too. It's not like cheese pizza. It was like really good
Yeah,
pizza.
you get white pizza, you get cheese pizza, you get
Jesus
pepperoni, you
Christ.
get like
Yeah.
veggies, mushroom
Yeah.
pizza.
Thanks for hitting me up, guys.
Well,
I don't-
it was like a balance.
Yeah,
he
I-
balanced the really harsh critiques with
Yeah,
pizza, which is
he's a
better.
tough fucking cookie, but he got like great food. That was the trade off.
It's like a Yelp review. Amazing food.
Not such great
Harsh.
service.
you will cry.
Harsh service.
The waiter
great
made me
food.
cry. Great food.
Yep, that one.
I hope Soika doesn't listen to this podcast.
He will. I
He's
feel
our
like
biggest
Are you wearing a wire, Alvin?
I feel like he's like one person that knows everything that goes around.
Uh,
Just cause. Chairman. Is he a chairperson? He
He's
technically
a
is.
what is he? A
Of the
dean?
illustration department. Yeah.
Of illustration, yeah.
Uh, I wrote down Alvin. What's that? I wrote down the word fire stick
Oh.
because what's? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
What is
That's
that
usually
fire
how.
stick thing you do?
Yeah, that's usually what I call it so that I don't have to like overcomplicate it.
Uh huh.
So what it is it's a Samoan fire knife.
Mm-hmm.
So Samoan is culture in the Polynesian region.
Right.
Oh. So if you've seen Moana, that's
Mm-hmm.
how I'll just dumb it down.
Oh
Moana or Lilo and Stitch. Lilo and Stitch, David does this. The character David, Nani's boyf,
Yeah.
and it's
What's the word you
basically
just used? Boif.
boyf.
Ooh,
Yeah.
okay. Continue.
Ooh, shortcut. It's a lot easier than saying BF. Um,
I guess.
and like so basically it's more ritualistic now than before because before they used it for combat,
Mm-hmm.
but now it's also just kind of a show thing where it's literally a knife because there's a metal blade in the end of it, and
Mm-hmm.
you put a wick on it in both sides, and then you light it on fire.
uh,
Isn't
And
that
I
more of a
learned,
about the knife.
isn't that more of a spear?
no, because it's too short to be a
Uh,
spear. Yeah, so that's why they call it fire knife because it was usually sharp in the end. And now you just kind of do it for performances. But I
it.
learned it way back in high school,
Uh-huh.
but I only picked it up again post high school.
Was it really stressful? Like starting with fire? Like you know what I mean?
Yes, definitely. That's why they do recommend training first without the fire. And Adam's seen this because I literally just have like a stick. If you can have a stick anywhere you can find.
Mm-hmm. You
No?
knew about this, Adam?
Yeah, when we were in Italy, he actually bought like a mop and like took the mop part off just so he could practice.
Uh,
Yeah, just because coming back from Italy, I knew I had shows to do, so I had to practice in Italy just so that I don't lose it.
Mhm.
Is it very fun to watch?
and you're not
uh,
Samoan, are you?
no, I'm not
Yeah.
Samoan. Because the thing is, it's one of those things where I was sensitive to. I feel like I couldn't practice it, um, only because I wasn't from that culture.
Mm-hmm.
But after learning it from my teacher, his name was Rex,
Mm-hmm.
Rex Tiomalu. He is Samoan and he performs in Disney, so that's where I learned in Florida, and he performed in PCC in Hawaii as well.
Uh,
It's like Polynesian Center. So that's where they do all the things. Oh yeah, and he's a world champion at that as well.
well,
But hearing from them, him saying like, "Oh, it's not really my culture," like you can't stop people from doing that. I think it's even better to spread the love of this culture
yeah.
because a lot of people get really possessive and then they'll be like, "Oh, that's cultural appropriation. That's not
Mm-hmm.
even yours." But is it even that person? Sometimes people represent it better than the person from that culture.
There was I don't know if you guys remember like E3 a few years ago.
Hmm.
Uh, was it that Ghost of Tsushima game? Maybe was what I'm thinking of, where they had a guy playing a traditional Asian flute. I'm not gonna say the country because I'm gonna forget. But it was a white guy playing the flute, and like I remember people were really upset at first, and he released a statement that like he was like, I am one of like 8 masters of this instrument on the planet. They didn't really have many choices.
Well, no, I didn't know that. I know the game. I just saw it recently,
Hmm.
this week, actually.
I think it
So
was Ghost of Tsushima where they had like a guy playing the flute live at E3.
Probably, yeah.
yeah, but it's probably the same reason. Like like people kind of look down upon it at the same time. Like
Yeah.
after hearing it from the person I learned say that it's not technically his to call his.
Hmm.
It's better to teach it and kind of inspire other people. I think
Yeah.
for me, that's like either it goes for art as well.
I was gonna
I
say that's
think
a
the
that's a
mix.
fine line we always have to walk in
Hmm.
illustration,
Yeah.
because
So,
everything is inspired by everything, which is inspired by everything, and like uh, I know I learned that for example, Native American art and like their mythology and whatnot is copyrighted. You can't make things based on Native American culture because that's one of the protections they have from the New York government from the New York from the U.S. government
mm,
is that that's the reason why like if Victoria's Secret puts like a headdress on a model, they get sued.
Oh no, I
So
didn't know that.
you can't misrepresent Native American art or
Mm.
try to make it seem authentic because that they have a legal claim to it. That like the practicality of that is so that the Native American people and the tribes themselves will always have a source of revenue by selling their traditional clothing and whatnot, and won't have competition from other companies.
Interesting. That
Yeah.
makes sense.
So there's situations like that where there's like legality involved, but in general, it's just when you sometimes you want to draw something that involves another culture, and it's something that we encounter a lot in illustration, I think.
Yeah, see, that's the same thing for me too. Like, if there's illustration projects,
Mm-hmm.
there's always that kind of voice that tells me, like, oh, you don't really know all about this, so you can't make a project about this.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah.
something I always worry about as well, especially misrepresenting something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to do the same thing where I would like draw something that like was like from a different culture that I didn't really know much about, and I'd feel like I should probably either do research on it or just don't draw it at all.
Yeah. I,
Mm-hmm.
s-
I
yeah, I
have
would do a lot of research on it
I
now.
have a thing I draw a lot, a little voodoo doll character that I draw, and for a while I was worried about misrepresenting voodoo, and then I found out online that voodoo dolls aren't voodoo. That the term comes from they're European witchcraft, and the the term voodoo doll comes from the fact that people at the time associated witchcraft with voodoo.
Called Voodoo Doll, bro. I don't know.
No, it's called voodoo doll because people like at the time that they were like popular would call anything witchcraft voodoo. But it's not part of the legitimate religion, I don't think.
Hmm.
Whatever you
Yeah.
need to tell yourself, man.
I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Um, just because they generalized everything,
Mm-hmm.
especially at that time, so that makes sense.
Wow, I didn't expect to get on that topic. Um, but
Eh, it's fun.
It's kind of
so
related though.
yeah. Uh, all right. I talked about the headaches. We just talked about the fire stick thing. What is it called again? It's fire
Oh,
knives.
yeah, Samoan fire knife.
Samoan
And
fire knife
quarantine is good time because there's not a lot of things to do, at least in active stuff. So I learned how to do doubles.
with
So
fire
yeah.
Oh,
or
really? Nice.
Oh, I don't have the fire knives
yeah. I was gonna.
itself.
I
I
was,
only have a single fire knife.
and I
So
imagine you don't light it up at home.
I do sometimes.
Oh, oh, okay.
When I'm bored, Hey, they said heat kills it, right?
Yeah.
Just going down the streets running like spinning,
Yeah.
spinning the fire knife.
Yeah. It's definitely more fun on fire because it's not as we did a performance one time for Boy Scouts.
Mm-hmm.
It's like their end of the year kind of thing, their awards. And we used a lightsaber. Which, which I mean, I loved. I was like, oh my god, I can finally use the double lightsaber for this.
Was it like those legitimate like third party ones that they make super like realistic kind of things or?
Yeah, it was. My friend had the Ultra Sabers one.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
Because the Ultra Sabers one is a little bit um tougher, but the
Uh-huh.
problem was his was kind of old. So right before performance, I literally had it on already. And I was on stage, and it did one toss, and when I caught it, the thing started bending because where it
Oh no.
attaches, yeah, the screw was, I guess, loose, and I tried to tape it before the show, but it's almost like I'm using a spaghetti.
Oh my god.
And then in the middle of the show, I just shout, guys, I need backup. I need to fix it. And like, fix what? The knife now. I just left the stage, and they're like, oh crap. So they just jumped on stage and started dancing. Everyone's like, what's happening?
Oh god.
But hey, they were kids though, so like I remember right when I lit it, they're like, "That's not fire, that's a lightsaber."
Was it the Boy Scouts like administration that forbid you from using fire?
Yeah, because they were renting a
What?
location
Don't they
and
teach
they
those
didn't
kids how
want
to
to
make
deal.
fires?
I know, right? They're pros at
Yeah.
campfires, but it was indoors, and they didn't want to deal with the insurance because it was an old building, I guess. It's like a
Mhm.
recreational center, so they didn't want to pay extra for that, I guess. Which is cool. It's fine,
Mhm.
but it's a lot cooler with fire than a lightsaber.
Boy Scouts is just Scouts now, right?
I think so, and
Yeah.
I think they just said they were also bankrupt.
Oh,
Oh well.
Yeah, so
I
that
was
might be the last time I'll be dancing.
between you and me. I was not super into Boy Scouts anyway, but
I always wanted to when I was a kid. I thought it was
Me
so cool to go
too.
camping.
I don't know. It's a little. Maybe as a kid it would have seemed alluring, but I just find it to be a creepy organization. I don't know. I mean, I don't know everything about it, but like, I remember. Did you guys ever take Murr's comic book class?
Yeah.
I think he was
no.
the one that taught me that in the early days of comic books, one of the Boy Scout activities was like mass burnings of comic books because they were like poisoning youth.
Well, that was probably like in the 50s.
Yeah, but there's always been like a
Yeah.
kind of Christianity aspect of like what the Boy Scouts do. It's like it's weird mixing religion and camping. I don't know.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's also true. I only realized that when I got older. I didn't realize they mixed church because they always had it in church and Boy Scout.
Moving on though, we
Uh,
talked about Bridge to Terabithia last week, and I remembered something about it that I wanted to bring up. Alvin, have you ever seen Bridge to Terabithia?
Yeah, it's one of those movies where you don't expect it at all.
Yeah, we were talking about that last week.
I feel like
Yeah.
Bridget Terabithia is like right up your alley, Alvin.
It was cool, but then it was like harsh.
What I was
Yeah.
what I was thinking about, because I had been thinking about it since last episode, is you remember that kid was super into art in that movie, and everyone was like,
Mhm.
"Wow, you're a really good artist."
Yeah.
He sucked.
Yeah, they're in like third grade.
I
aren't
know,
they?
but
We're young. They're kids.
I know, but it's just funny that like when I was little, I kind of thought he was good, and like I think I watched it like not super recently, but like later on in life, and I was like, this stuff sucks.
You as like a 19-year-old.
I've only seen it once, so I don't remember it.
I don't remember either.
I don't know. I just thought that was funny, like the way that works. That you do you guys remember Hoot? That's another one of those
No.
kind of movies. You remember
I
that?
know
Alvin?
of it, but I never watched
It was the one with the
The
takes place in
owls.
Florida with the burrowing owls, and like they're
Yeah.
trying to construct something over their land.
Yeah, I never really.
That's one of those
Watched
kind of
it.
like not preteen, but like even younger kind of like kid movies, like how to eat fried worms.
Don't talk to me about fucking How to Eat Fried Worms.
Why
dude.
you don't like that movie?
That movie traumatized me as a kid.
Oh, I avoided it like the plague.
Yeah, like I saw that in the fucking movie theater. I don't know why we did, but like made me sick.
Oh, I never watched it, but I know the book. That's why.
Me
What's it?
too,
Do you
yeah.
guys have like kids movies that like really traumatized you growing up?
How to Eat Fried Worm?
How to Eat Fried Worms? Okay, Alvin, you have one?
Alice in Wonderland.
Which one?
I saw it really young, and I thought it was really spooky.
The cartoon?
The cartoon.
Oh,
It is kind
Yeah.
of weird.
I think it's the Mad Hatter kind of scene in the tea room, and the Cheshire Cat. I don't know. It just didn't make sense in my brain,
Yeah.
and how things can appear and randomly appear, and I guess
think-
I was really young back then, though.
the two super traumatic movies for me as a kid was one of them was Hook. You guys
Mhm.
ever seen Hook?
The one with Robin Williams.
Yeah,
Steven
Yeah,
Spielberg.
that movie's fucked.
Never
I like
seen it.
that. I like
There's
that
a
one.
scene in that movie where like they're torturing one of the pirates are torturing like another pirate that I guess like was a traitor or something, and they put him in a coffin and then open a little hole and throw a scorpion in. And that like fucked me up as a kid. That was because that's horrible. And also I'm afraid I was afraid of flowers for a few years because of Hook. Because there's a scene in Hook where like the flowers smell people. And I found that like very disturbing.
Imagine being afraid of flowers.
I was for a little while. The other
Bring
movie
that.
that really fucked me up was Watership Down.
I don't know that one.
It's like Final Destination with bunnies. It's like just bunnies
Uh-huh.
dying in horrible ways. It's the worst cartoon I've ever
Oh,
seen.
Watership Down?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
It took me
movie-
a second to register.
Yeah, that movie is disturbing.
That's a cool movie. I like it.
Actually, Final Destination kind of screwed me up too.
Why would you watch that as a kid though?
I don't know. I watched something worse. Chucky.
The Child's Play.
Child's Play. Yeah.
So were you
That was-
guys?
I think that was my youngest memory of like, or maybe the first memory I've had as like for a horror movie as a kid.
Were you guys like allowed to watch horror as a kid?
No, we watched it behind everyone.
What
Like,
about you?
Yeah.
we
watched
found
the-
like
oh,
old movies.
What'd
Yeah.
you say?
I watched The Goodfellas when I was like 5. No, not really. But I wasn't allowed to watch movies like that. No,
Did you anyway?
no.
Yeah, no, I steered clear from that until
When I was in like fifth grade, I watched Family Guy at 10 o'clock at night, and I thought I was like I felt like the most like evil kid in the
I
world.
remember being in middle school and seeing Jurassic Park at the library and being like, you know what? Today's the day. Like,
And you
I'm not a
shit
kid
your pants.
anymore. I was scared when
Yeah,
I first saw that movie.
I can imagine.
Fucked me up a little, but it's a good movie. Now
I
it
used to
doesn't.
be
But
sorry. I used to be afraid of like everything when I was a
yeah,
kid.
me too.
I was like terrified of
I was afraid to
literally
watch
everything.
Star Wars before I first saw it.
Yeah, it'd probably make me shit my pants if I was a kid. Like I was afraid of the Wizard of Oz.
Were you an anxious kid, Alvin?
I would say no. I was a curious kid, and I usually did things without thinking the outcome. Yeah. But I guess because my parents would watch movies a lot, so I watched them too. I really like them, even when I was younger.
My parents never watched movies. I think that's why my whole life I never really watched that many movies. I was never introduced
Do you
to
think
like
that
any.
made them more alluring to you, or the fact that you didn't grow up with them? That like,
No, I think it made it so that like I never really had an interest in watching movies until fairly recently, like my college years.
hmm.
There's so many like classic movies I still have not seen.
What
I
about
only just recently watched Jurassic Park with you like 2 years
yeah,
ago.
Alvin? What about video games? Did you grow up with like a video game system in the house, or
Oh, I did.
what did you have?
First one was, well, everyone call it a system, but it had the Game Boy Color,
That counts.
and
Yeah,
then a little bit after that we had the PS1. So I grew up with the PS1.
Wow.
nice.
Was the
Yeah.
PS1 new when we were little?
It was already old when we got it, because
Yeah.
there was already a PS2 when we got
I
that.
remember my cousin had a golden N64, and I
Wow.
thought it was the coolest thing. And he threw it out because it was broken. I was like, "No, repair it. It's beautiful."
Ah, you could have fixed it.
Yeah, that's what I was
You need to
saying.
fix it now.
It was that one's worth so much money too. The gold one.
Yeah, collectors.
Yeah.
Uh,
What's your
I
first
wish I could
system,
play it.
Adam? Is it Game Boy
What's
Advance?
What'd you say?
Your first system. It's Game Boy Advance, right?
Yes. When I was like 4 years old, I got a Game Boy Advance, and me and my sister both got one on the same day, and we didn't understand what they were because we were like children. And I just have a memory. We always like talk about this how like we were just like in our room like making forts, throwing our Game Boys at each other because we didn't have any games and we had no idea what to do with them.
So funny.
And they were the SPs, so like they were like bricks.
Yeah, I
You
still
just-
have mine.
Yeah, I have mine too. It's like covered in like bite marks and scratches.
Yeah.
I
like
have one
15
that
years
a
old.
friend gave me, and the other day I was talking to Adam, and I was like, "Man, I think my Game Boy's busted. Like it won't. Like I turn it on and it's like glitching out." And he was like blowing the inside, and it worked. I was like, "Why the hell does that work?"
It's a
Because it was
classic,
really messed
Yeah.
up, and then it just worked perfectly after that.
That's classic. You blow into like a thing that has like a cartridge
I've
slot.
heard of the cartridge, like blowing into the cartridge, but never heard about blowing into the cartridge slot.
Yeah,
You had to do both.
Yeah, I ended up doing both,
Yeah.
and that fixed
I
it.
guess it's because you didn't grow up with a Game Boy, so you never had to do that. But I used to do that all the time.
I remember doing it with the N64, but I don't know.
Yeah.
It's weird that would fix a whole system. I don't know.
That's like first troubleshooting. First turn it off.
It's
Next,
funny to
blow
think
it
about.
Yeah.
Like, what if in like 10 years you're trying to put your Switch on and you have to blow into like the SD card slot?
It's just filled with like dirt and bugs and shit, so you just gotta blow
Yeah.
that shit out.
That's a fear I have about my PS4. I've never cleaned the inside of my PS4, and it
I
makes
feel
a
like
lot of
you
noise.
should,
So
because yeah, that's the same for me. I feel like now that I think about it, you should clean it because the dust.
yeah,
I
and I've
really
also
bad
just heard that
for
you
it.
can get roaches on the inside.
I've had my PS4 for
Sucks.
like since like 2014. I have never cleaned the inside.
Someone told me that if you slap your PS4 and you hear like a lot of shit, then you have roaches inside.
What? If you smack your PS4 and it sounds like literal hell is inside.
Yeah, that sounds like the worst discovery you could ever make.
Hey, it's a new game, right?
Oh god.
I got a new game for you.
God, I hate that.
So funny.
I've never had to do that for any other system.
Bug
Though, clean
simulator.
the inside of a system.
Yeah,
What?
I've never had that
I've
problem.
never had to clean the inside of a system for anything except
Neither have I.
PS4.
That's why I don't know. I've had this thing for like 6 years almost, and I've never cleaned it up.
I dare you to tap it.
I'll do it right now.
All right.
No roaches.
No roaches.
Explodes.
Yeah.
Fucking giant roach smacks you in the back of the head. Hey, cut that out. All right. We've been here a little while, Alvin. I think it's time to plug what you're here for.
That's right. That's the project, right?
Right. So me and Alvin, you and I,
Mm-hmm.
are in a team together for this group project. We had Morella on talking about Sweaterverse last week, and our group is called, has two names. The group itself is called Mystical Grunge, and the project is called Afterlife.
Yes.
So
Give me the rundown. I don't know nothing about it.
So Afterlife, we kind of used an old story I had in the back of my head for the basis of it, which is it's a post-apocalyptic story about a little girl and a robot teddy bear that protects her. I'm not gonna get too much into the story because it'd be a lot to throw on people. But if you're interested, you can follow the Mystical Grunge. Is the let me check. Is the Instagram called Mystical Grunge or Afterlife?
It's called Afterlife, actually.
Okay.
Let me
So-
double check.
I'm gonna double check that too. After
Nope.
no,
It's
mystical
Grunge.
underscore grunge.
And then the logo is
The logo
Afterlife.
says Afterlife. So go to mystical underscore grunge to find out more, and we're gonna have a website coming up. I think we already have it up somewhere.
We do have it up.
Yeah.
It's just when the master website, which has everyone's projects, goes up. That's when ours.
I'll probably
goes up as
have
well.
when Dan comes on, have him talk about the master website. But so basically, story aside, the kind of technical aspect that we've been working on is that each of us have taken on a subway station in New York, and we're kind of doing concept art based around what that subway station would be like in the post-apocalyptic New York. And Alvin, yours is
Mine is in Flatiron District, which
Flatiron
is
District, yeah.
23rd and
Uh-huh.
Madison, I believe.
And mine is 7th Avenue. But Alvin, you're the guest, so what has this been like? This experience working with the group of us, 4 people,
I
me,
think-
you, Holly, sorry, 5 people, Diego and Jennifer.
See, I thought when we first came up with the story, I thought it was really good chemistry.
Mm-hmm.
I think because at least everyone had a similar thing in mind, and the way they work is also pretty close.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like a lot of other groups where some are focused on a certain aspect of art, say like editorial,
Mm-hmm.
the other one's focused on graphic novels. I feel like ours was fairly similar in terms of the way we work and the content we have.
Other groups, if you'd like to come on the podcast and defend yourself from Alvin. No, I'm kidding.
Well, no, I just
I'm
felt like
kidding. Yeah.
yeah, it came up pretty quickly. Like even just the name
Uh-huh.
and the story, it came out quick. That like it was like a unanimous decision, and it was a. I think, to be honest, I really love the story that you made, Michael,
Mm-hmm.
because the idea of it is with like this innocent girl in this harsh environment. Now
Yeah.
the funny, ironic side of it is the project's storyline, how like New York is post-apocalyptic.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was just way too related to what's happening
Yeah,
now.
that got really uncomfortable. Like as soon when this started happening, we all were thinking about that.
Because the moment we were like, okay, we need a reason why it's post-apocalyptic, and we're like, okay, toxic mushrooms. Next thing you know, we're in quarantine for something else.
Yeah, we really dodged a bullet not making it a virus.
Yeah, so
That would have been
think-
really uncomfortable.
Yeah, so when I remember making the first background, and I
Mhm.
had like this post-apocalyptic scene with the flooded Flatiron
Mm-hmm.
with like trees everywhere. I posted up online, and my dad was like, "It's a little depressing, don't you think?" I was like, "What do you mean?" You know, it's kind of like you want something nicer to see, not an old abandoned New York. It's
Yeah,
like,
I was. Did you
You're
guys
kinda
see that article saying that the creator of Black Mirror doesn't want to make a season 6 for a while because he's like, it doesn't feel like a good time.
yeah, I
That's
kind of
kinda-
agree with that one.
That's kind of where we've been pushed into, unfortunately.
So I think for me, it was a little bit harder to work on, especially in the environments,
Mm-hmm.
just because we're like stuck inside, and you want to see something good, but the environments I was making was a little harsh.
Yeah, that's why what kind of what I tried to relish in, because the realistic aspect of it is kind of disturbing, especially now that we're living in this fucked up
Mm-hmm.
time. I tried to focus on the surreal elements of it. It's a little girl and a teddy bear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What else can be weird and whimsical about that? I didn't like the parts that make it feel almost like I'd rather be in that apocalypse than this one. Is
Uh-huh.
the whimsical, the weird and wacky. It has a Wizard of Oz element of like people going from point A to point B and meeting weird ass characters along the way.
That's true, and we do have a lot. Like Diego's location is, I think, Queens Zoo,
Mm-hmm.
and then Holly has Broadway Lafayette. Hers
Mm-hmm.
is cool too because they're like underground farmers slash miner,
Yeah.
and then the carnival aspect of Jennifer's.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Kind of
do
a
you remember where
bizarre.
it was?
Hers is somewhere in Brooklyn. Not Sheep's Head, but uh
Close to the beach.
Brighton Beach.
Brighton Beach, yes. So I really like that too, because everyone has like there's a good balance between grunge and underground, because
Mm-hmm.
like ours, and then there's also the mystical um stuff with being out in the atmosphere, which is like Jennifer's Diego's, and yours is in the in between, which goes
Yeah,
both, which is cool.
mine is like the antagonists, and they're all kind of like very tribal, uh, kind of primitive but very aggressive kind of aesthetic. I took inspiration from a lot of different places. I wanted them to have interesting and unique kind of masks. That was the like the cornerstone of the guys I was doing. The guys I was doing. Oh my god. Uh, the people I was drawing. Um, but yeah, like for example, I have one guy in a ghillie suit. You guys know what a ghillie suit is, right?
Yes.
So I have a guy in a ghillie suit for no apparent reason, and then his mask was like the reference was a mask meant for a horse, but it just looks so much more interesting shape wise on a person because it makes that little sense. And
Yeah,
that's
you're right.
that's like my favorite part of doing stuff like this is deciding when to not make sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good point.
So um, the team aspect has worked for you.
Mm-hmm.
How has you kind of touched on this, but well, how has the experience changed from pre and post quarantine? Like working on in this class pre and post quarantine.
For me, I think if I was in a group aspect, I would do better with working with the group.
Mm-hmm.
Because like being in like one room with it, so like we can bounce ideas off each other. That's just the way I work. I kind of like, especially when I'm brainstorming, I like talking to people because it's either in my interest or their interest. Something comes up randomly in conversations that I can always put on work,
Mm-hmm.
especially with artwork, because I feel like if you only look at the things that you like, sometimes you're kind of pigeonholed on
Yeah.
the selection basically. So there's not enough random things because you're always in control, especially in quarantine,
Mm-hmm.
in terms of like the internet and the things that you look at. For me, I feel like it kind of constricts me.
Mm-hmm.
So having moments like these where I could talk to you guys or like talk to other people definitely
Yeah.
helps, especially in a visual development kind of
Yeah, I would
project.
piggyback and say what I miss most is the roundtable aspect of it. Is like
Yeah.
being able to be in a story circle and talk about things and like riff off of each other. We can still kind of do that like online, but everything being the way it is, it's not always like you don't always feel like doing that.
Yeah, also I'm not a morning person, so like
Yeah.
especially in the quarantine mode, it's really hard to wake up at like 9 a.m. for the class.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
So for me, productivity goes down because of that too, with the comfort and not waking up.
Which makes no sense because you'd have to wake up earlier.
Right?
To
Exactly.
commute. But for some reason, because I do the same thing, like I always wake up late.
Yeah, so definitely it's on me to try to be a little bit more responsible with that.
Mm-hmm.
But I do like sharing ideas and the stories too, because that's how I kind of sketch. And I kind of go quick too, so I don't stay too long to render stuff.
Yeah.
Very rarely.
Kind of veering off this topic though. I'm curious. Are you did you have like a job that was affected
I
at all?
did. It's I had a paint bar job, so I was a instructor at a
Mm-hmm.
paint bar.
Like
So
a drinks bar with
yeah,
painting.
so it was called Muse Paint Bar, and there was one close to my town.
Mm-hmm.
They had other locations too, all over the East Coast.
Mm-hmm.
So I would teach people how to paint a certain painting while they have drinks and food. So I'll be up on stage, but obviously we can't have those now because
And that was your sole source of income.
yeah, that was actually. So
So,
I really miss it. I miss teaching
and,
people.
um,
Such a cool job.
has
Thanks.
it been hard? Like, are you? If I'm even allowed to ask, are you doing okay? Like,
Yeah, actually, because of that, I do get unemployment insurance,
mm-hmm.
but I do miss the aspect of teaching.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things that since I started doing it, it's very satisfying to have to like inspire people.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that it doesn't work the same way at being stuck at home,
Yeah.
it's kind of sad.
Is that job waiting for you when this is all over?
They say according to state regulations. So other states would be able to open up much easier, but since New York is one of those uh, critical areas,
Yeah.
there's a good chance they said that it might be really, really long. They were closing some locations, but New York was a really successful location for them.
Right. But
However, it's just the chance of opening up, like when it is
yeah.
going to open up.
But my question is more along the lines of, is this a job that you've just lost, or is it? Is there an understanding that when it comes back, you come back?
There is an understanding of
Okay,
the
that's
second
good.
choice, yeah. So hopefully, but I was looking into relocating, but who knows when.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Out of New York or?
Out of New York, yeah, I was looking to go either somewhere in the West Coast
Mm-hmm.
or trying to see job aspects in Blue Sky, which is in Connecticut.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's
it's a
pretty
little
cool.
bit more upper state. So it'd be
I
nice.
I kind of worry about the future of Blue Sky, to be honest, when I think about, because they're a Disney company now. And what I think about when I think about like Blue Sky is that you've got Pixar, you've got Disney Animation, and you get to a point where Blue Sky feels like a redundancy. You know what I mean? If it's the
Yeah,
same company. So
they
I
have
kind of
to
wonder what
get
the
it.
future is for that company.
I agree with that too, because that's once Disney took hold of Century Fox,
Mm-hmm.
Blue Sky came in mind because they kind of don't need it.
Yeah.
Unless they uh are targeting a different audience, that's the only reason why they would have it.
There were a lot of rumors when the merger first happened that Blue Sky was going to become a Disney Plus centric studio, that they were going to be
Uh,
producing stuff straight for that. But I don't know how much Blue Sky really brings in, because their movies don't do as well as like DreamWorks or Pixar or.
it's pretty niche and it's not a lot of it's not like every year they have a movie too.
Mm-hmm. But
Yeah.
but it feels like from what we've heard at art school that it's the place to work as an illustrator. It's like such, it's for the illustrators by the illustrators kind of thing.
I kind of agree with that too because we're so close to it. One, location's really easy. And two, it's not controlled aesthetically as close to, say, other bigger studios.
Mm-hmm.
They have a different aesthetic to it, which is a little bit more, there's more freedom in a
Mm-hmm.
way. So yeah, I agree with that one.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. Uh, hopefully you do end up at Blue Sky.
Thanks.
Uh, Adam. So you do that. Can I talk about your sign business?
Sure.
So Adam, you and work for your father making designing signs for people, for
Yeah.
like businesses and whatnot. What's that like now?
It's very slow right now. Not a lot of people are open, so
Are you
they don't really need signs.
so is it just like at a dead standstill, or are you still getting every now and then something?
Yeah, every now and then. Like I actually just did a job like 2 days ago for this haircut place. Funny enough, which I don't think they're open, but he guess he's just replacing his sign. But yeah, I don't know. It's like very slow right now, but there is like a couple of jobs like trickling in every now and then.
Yeah, for me, I was unemployed before this happened, and it has affected me not in losing a job, but losing the opportunity to get one. Is that I don't know when I'm ever going to get a job at this point because of this whole thing.
That's kind of like my worry also graduating with this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how open people will be because, for example, like the internship jobs that we applied for were basically all canceled because
Mm-hmm.
of current situations.
Yeah.
So, but recently I heard at least the animation industry is doing pretty well, only because since they can't do live action, the animation industry isn't really as affected. The only thing is that most of it would be a freelance kind of situation where everyone works from home.
Mm-hmm.
Which is awesome for us.
All right, so in a way, that's kind of nice.
I was thinking, and we talked about it with Tiffany on that episode, both animation and life after graduation and quarantine. But we talked about I really hope there's a resurgence in animation, like a really big push for it now that you can't film things physically.
Yeah, and genres too, because you got to think about if that's the only way you can produce a show, you kind of have to target different audiences.
Yeah, maybe we get more adult action cartoons or
Mm-hmm.
like comedy animation or like stuff that just well actually the animation is comedy but just uh for audiences that usually don't get animation. I feel like animation goes two ways. It goes children centric and then crude adult humor.
Yeah,
Those are like the two places it is right now. And then when you go to other countries like Japan and whatnot, they have a corner on the action market. But American animation doesn't really have that.
hmm I really
So
like the European animation styles too. It's so
yeah,
refreshing.
France has some great animation.
And Spain, there's a animation company I really love. They did Troll Hunters.
Hmm.
Oh
They did
yeah.
other projects too, but I love the look of it.
The DreamWorks Troll Hunters.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's called something about Nocturne. I gotta double check on that one. But yeah, I think something like that, they
Did
need to start changing
did
the target.
did that company make a movie called Nocturna?
I think they did.
I've seen that movie. That was pretty good. I bought it for my mom because it was a combination of French and Spanish animation or something like that.
Yeah, they're
And my
from
mom is
Spain.
a trilingual Spanish and French teacher.
What?
Yeah,
That's so cool.
yeah. So I got that for her because I thought it would be cool to see like a because she's Puerto Rican and then she teaches French and Spanish, so just to get that like kind of culmination of the different cultures, I thought she'd like that. So that's
Hmm.
where I know that movie from. But yeah, they have. If that's the one you're thinking of, I really did like their animation. It made me think of Lilo and Stitch.
Yeah, it has a different aesthetic to it, which is refreshing. And at the same time, the reason why I kind of like the show because it's a lot of like Guillermo del Toro stuff
Mm-hmm.
where they feel fairy tale like, but it's not really always for kids.
Mm-hmm. The,
So because of that, anyone can watch it.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of people don't watch animated things because they always think it's for kids.
you know what I'm really into animation wise? They don't. I don't think they do any animation themselves, but they license foreign animation and whatnot. Do you know G Kids?
G Kids, yeah,
Yeah, I love G Kids because they have so much unique animation stuff from all over the world that they kind of bring on Blu-ray and whatnot to people.
Those are the guys that did Song of the Sea, right?
They did Song of the Sea. They do everything Ghibli now. Though HBO is going to be taking that over, I think. Um,
yeah.
they they did Nocturna. They do a lot of the French stuff. So you could just find remember that movie Motherfuckers that we were talking about, Adam?
Yeah.
That's G Kids.
There's some good guys. They
Yeah, it's cool.
like bring a lot of these like foreign movies to America.
Yeah, and like foreign animation is so great. I can't stress that enough. I mean, American animation does some great stuff too, but it's so great to have both.
Yeah, I feel like it's just the market. I can't wait though. If that's the case, if they're gonna change or produce more, like for example, like Netflix is putting a lot of money into the new animations. Like Love, Death, and Robots was awesome.
Yeah, I think after the success of Klaus recently, I think there's going to be more movies like that coming out soon.
I hear. I think Dan Scheffelman was the one telling me that Netflix really wants to give Leica a run for their money.
Oh, I want Leica to be more successful too.
I want that
Me,
too.
I know, Sam.
And they're
I'm
really
a
love
not.
huge
Leica.
fan of their stuff.
Me too.
I was looking into internships, but a lot of them are like physical claymation kind of stuff where you're either rigging, building, or fabrication, like fabrics, literally.
Oh, you know what would be an
I don't know
interesting
how to do that shit.
animation company to work? Starburns. Do you guys know that one?
No.
They do Rick and Morty, and they also did Anomalisa.
Oh, I know Anomalisa.
Starburns Industries.
I love that movie. It's a great movie.
Animation. Let me see if I can.
Oh yeah.
They did Harmon's Quest too. Yeah, so that's kind of like an up and coming one that I think. That's probably located in L.A. I'd imagine.
Anomalisa and Rick and Morty. That's a very
Yeah, it's Dan
very
Harmon's animation company. It's a reference to Community. There's a character in Community called Starburns who has sideburns shaped like stars. That's where that gets that name.
Yeah, they're in California.
Yeah.
Burbank.
They
Also
also they also do podcasts, and it'd be great to have them in our corner.
Yeah.
What were you saying?
Also, oh, well, I was gonna say for a lot of the industry, they're in the West Coast. That's why I was looking towards that. But
I feel like they're either in the West Coast or in the middle of nowhere. It's
yeah.
like the general rule of thumb.
I think Leica, one of their places is in the middle of nowhere.
They're in like Oregon, aren't they?
Yeah, they're in Portland.
Which isn't actually far from California, to be fair.
Yeah, Portland's a good city.
Were you gonna
Good
say
food.
something, Adam?
Me, no.
Oh, okay. Well, we've been going on for a good chunk of time. I think this is a good time to wrap up if you guys are okay.
Yeah.
So Alvin, just remind us, where can people find you?
Oh, so you can find me on Instagram. It's Alvin, SEESUM Alvin. Just because my last name is really hard to pronounce and spell, and you can always check the website too, alvinsumigcay.com.
All right, and you can find me on Instagram and the show at Kid Michael Art. You can find Adam at Adam's an Atrocity. So yeah, that's it. Thank you for watching. This has been It's the Kid Michael Show. I'm your host, Kid Michael. My co-host, as always, has been Adam Ali. Our guest this week has been Alvin. One more time.
Sumigcay.
Alvin Sumigcay. Our theme song was composed and performed by Matthew Rosenthal, and our editor is our